All right, welcome back. This is Passover 2018, and this is part 12. We're going to cover Enoch. And yes, Enoch talks about Passover. In Enoch 1:1, we'll just, the beginning of Enoch sets it up. We'll be going to chapter 60. But it says here, these are the words of the blessing of Enoch, according to which he blessed the chosen and righteous who must be present on the day of distress, which is appointed for the removal of the wicked and impious, or irreverent toward God. So Enoch is writing to the people, and he says here in verse 2, there was a righteous man whose eyes were opened by Yahuwah, saw a vision, and I heard everything from them, and I understood what I saw, but not for this generation, but for a distant generation that will come. So here Enoch is writing some 6,000 years ago. He's seventh from Adam, from before the flood. This is pre-flood. This is pre-Moses, way back there. And he's saying that there's a singular day of distress coming for the removal of the wicked. Well, we see the wicked are still here. They're, committing 70 million abortions and sodomite marriage, and they're not doing Passover, and they're not doing the Sabbath, and they're stirring up wars all around the world. On it goes. Let's go on here. So this is written to us, and we probably ought to pay attention to it. It's mentioned in two other places in the Bible. 1:7 of Enoch goes on, the earth will sink, and everything that is on the earth will be destroyed, and there will be judgment upon all, and upon all the righteous. But for the righteous he will make peace, and he will keep safe the chosen, and mercy will be upon them. And they will belong to God, and will prosper and be blessed, and the light of God will shine on them. And behold, he comes with 10,000 of his holy ones to execute judgment upon them, to destroy the impious, and to contend with all flesh concerning everything that the sinners and the impious have done and wrought against him. So this is a different story than preachers tell you. Sinners don't waft off in the rapture or anything else. They get killed. This is what Amos says, and this is what Isaiah says. We've covered that in some previous sessions. And Jude gives veracity to Enoch. In Jude 1:14, he says, and Enoch also the seventh from Adam prophesied of these, saying, behold, the Lord comes with 10,000 of his saints, or Yahuwah comes with 10,000 of his saints, to execute judgment upon all, to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. So Jude obviously thought that Enoch was a true prophet. Now Enoch, jumping down to Enoch 60 verse 1. In the 50th year, in the 7th month, in the 14th day of the month of the life of Enoch, in that parable I saw how the heaven of heavens was shaken violently, and the host of the Most High and the angels, 1,000 thousands and 10,000 times 10,000 were extremely disturbed. So first, he's writing this, or this prophecy came to him on the 50th year. That's a Jubilee year. And this year is a Jubilee year. We've covered that in some previous recordings I have. I was listening to another fella, and if Enoch was timing his calendar as the Jews do, from the beginning of the year being at the beginning of what we call like September, the Feast of Trumpets, which there's both of these are in the Bible. There's evidence for both. Both are in Exodus too. One says that Abib in the spring will be the beginning of your year, and there's another one in there that says that at the end of the year, at the exiting of the year, at the Feast of Tabernacles. So I don't know. It may be that it changed at the time of Moses to the beginning to start counting in Abib in the springtime, March, what we call March, April. At any rate, if he started counting from trumpets, that would make this 14th day of the 7th month Passover. We would time it to Passover, the 14th day of the first month, as we count it now. And I think that's what he's talking about. I was skeptical when I heard another guy talk about this at first, but I think that's what he's talking about because he talks about the covenant coming up here. and the covenant you make with him. And when do you make this covenant? Well, on Passover. This is when you make the new covenant. So listen on. This is quite interesting. 60 verse 2, I saw the head of days sitting on the throne of his glory, and the angels and righteous were sitting around him. A great trembling seized me, and fear took hold of me. My loins collapsed and gave way, and my whole being melted. I fell upon my face. He sees, I think Enoch is seeing this nuclear bomb war. People getting vaporized, burned up, and everything that's coming. This judgment that comes in one day. This total, horrific time. Because Jeremiah talks about the same thing. Jeremiah 30 verse 5. For thus says Yahuwah, we have heard a voice of trembling and of fear and not of peace. Ask you now and see whether a man does travail with child. Now, do men have a baby? Wherefore, or why, do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness? Now, this is all of the Christians and Catholics and people that are doing religion grabbing their groin and going, ah, as they see the nuclear bomb go off in a nearby city and they know they're about to be burned up. Or if they survive the first round, they're going to be radiated and in a desolate wasteland here to die a slow, painful death of starvation. Which that's what will probably happen to most people. Because as we've learned from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, a lot of people survive. This isn't like doesn't kill everybody right off. Maybe if you're downtown, it'll kill you. But if you're, 20, 25 miles out, you'll probably live. And then you'll die a slow, painful death. Alas, for that day is great, verse 7, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. He shall be saved out of it. So this is what's coming. This is the time of trouble. I think this is what Enoch is seeing. In verse 5, going on with Enoch, chapter 60, verse 5, I'm reading from the McCracken version, which I corrected the name. But it reads about the same. I think the numbering is in chapter 58 if you're in one of the other versions, Lawrence or Charles. Going on here, the Holy Michael said to me, what sight has disturbed you like this? So Michael asks Enoch, what has disturbed him so bad? Until today has the day of his mercy lasted, and he has been merciful and long-suffering toward those who dwell upon the dry ground. Now, Yahuwah has been merciful to Christians, Catholics, Jews, and all the other religions that are not keeping his commandments. All of these people don't keep his commandments. Show me one that's killing a lamb on Passover like you're supposed to be. Not the Jews, not Seder meals. No, they break a bone. They're violating it. Not what Messianics, not what Christians, Catholics, no fertility goddess, bunnies, rabbits, and eggs. That's all. That stuff all gets you cut off. I don't know. His mercy is about this long. He's been merciful and long-suffering. Boy, he's been long-suffering with us. People read the Bible, and they don't do it. They do not do it. And the shepherds around here, they lead people astray. The shepherds have caused my people to go astray, and the blind lead the blind. They both go in the ditch. Both. So not only the Christians and Catholic preachers are going in the ditch, but their followers are going in the ditch, the grave he's talking about. 60 verse 6, and when the day and the power and the punishment and the judgment come that Yahuwah of spirits has prepared for those who worship the righteous judgment, and for those who deny the righteous judgment, and for those who take his name in vain, and that day has been prepared for a chosen covenant, but for the sinners a visitation. Now this is completely, I know why this didn't make it into the Bible. Catholics sure don't want to hear this, and that's who put the Bible together. Christians sure don't want to hear this, and that's who put the Bible together. Sinners don't get wafted out of here in a rapture and all that, and don't go to heaven. They get a visitation. They get killed. He's out to destroy the sinners. And this chosen covenant, when do you make the covenant? You make the covenant at Passover. This is why the Son of Man tells you, Son of God tells you, he says, do this in remembrance of me, this Passover. He's talking about this Passover and this covenant. You have to make this betrothal covenant, this new covenant, with him, and there's no new laws. It's the same law. He tells you that. Think not that I came to abolish the law, not when jot or when tittle is going to pass away, till heaven and earth pass away. And that's when you make the covenant, on the 14th day of the first month, at sundown. Not when the Jews do it, and not when other people, and they don't make the covenant anyway. They break a bone, snubbing their nose at him, and with a lamb shank roast and a cedar meal. And this is what Psalm 50 verse 5 says. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Now don't believe the Christians. There's a Christian guy out there, interesting video, but he says, see, this is according to the false apostle Paul. See, the sacrifice, our lives are a living sacrifice, so we don't have to do a sacrifice. No, that's not what this says. If you don't, in fact, Numbers tells you right here in Numbers 13, the man that is clean and not on a journey forbears to keep the Passover, even that same soul shall be cut off from among his people, because he brought not the offering of Yahuwah in his appointed season, that man shall bear his sin. So if you don't bring the offering, if you don't bring the lamb, if you don't kill a lamb on Passover, like he told you, according to all the ordinances thereof, it says, not a bone will be broken, verse 12, not like the Jews do, then you're going to be cut off from Israel. You're going to bear your sin. You Christians. I hope you Christians are listening. Paul's a liar. He's lying to you. Just like he tells you not to be circumcised. Ezekiel tells you, people that are not circumcised in the flesh or in the heart don't go into the kingdom. They don't get in. So Paul's lying, obviously. It's real easy to figure out. It's just too bad you've been listening to these paid preachers, these bad, wicked shepherds. Going on. So that's what this is talking about. This is why this is so interesting. It's fascinating, because here he is writing about Passover on the 14th day of the month, and that's when you make the covenant. So this is what Enoch is writing about, and this is what is so important in 2018. Because if you don't keep it this year, I don't think you're going to get another chance. I think this World War III is going to torch off in April or May, and you're done. You're going to see Obama, Hillary, and billionaires are fleeing already to New Zealand. They all know it's on the horizon. Read the news. This World War III is about ready to torch off on 3 fronts: North Korea, Syria, and in it says in Isaiah 17, Damascus a ruinous heap, and then Ephraim gets wiped out. Yeah, I did one on this already. You can go find it on the Stiggy 1 channel, STYGIE 1. Going on here, on that day, 2 monsters are going to be, and this is 60 verse 7 of Enoch. There's Leviathan and Behemoth, and these two, I think these are the 2 beasts related to the 2 beasts of Revelation. And he says these, in verse 24, these 2 monsters are prepared in accordance with the greatness of Yahuwah, and will feed them that punishment of Yahuwah, this is for sinners, and children will be killed with their mothers, and sons with their fathers. So the 2 beasts that are rising, whatever you think they are, here in America, and then behind the scenes, the religious beasts. That's for another talk. But at any rate, this is what's coming, this great death and destruction. Prepare slaughter for his children. Isaiah 14:21 and 22 talks about the children getting killed, people getting killed. Sons, brethren, nephews, and that. You can read through it, Isaiah 14:22 and 23. The destruction's terrible, what's coming. This is it. This is the great judgment coming upon you. I really think you ought to avail yourself and read these prophecies of Enoch 60 and 61. There's a lot here. And he tells you what's going to happen to the Christians and Catholics and everybody else in 62 verse 2. And the word of his mouth kills all sinners and all the lawless. So if you think you're lawless and you want to keep this law, this is what's going to happen to you. This is the truth from Enoch. And pain will come upon them as a woman in labor, 62:24. The anger of Yahuwah of spirits, he will be drunken with them, and the chosen will be saved, and they will never see the faces of the sinners and the lawless from then on. So this is what's coming. I pray that you're listening and that you read these. Take your time and read through these yourself. That's been 12 sessions on the Passover. You're welcome to write to me if you need help. Anything else help on keeping it. I hope you're going to keep it and all these laws. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right, welcome back. This is Passover.